Hey guys, it's Thoughtslot here, and today we're actually going to be starting a new anime What If series. And this one was actually suggested by one of the viewers, mrotola28. His comment suggesting a bunch of actually really good ideas. You can see it here. And out of them, I actually thought that this was the most interesting, and that would be, as you can see by the title of the video, if Deku was a girl, how would the My Hero Academia world change? And it seems like a really small change to the series, actually, just transitioning Deku's gender. But if you actually think about it for a minute, it has some pretty serious implications, and it actually changes Deku's social skills more than anything else. So Bakugo might be a little bit softer on Deku is one thing that might change, given that she's a girl. However, as he's displayed in the sports festival, he really isn't holding back against a girl. So, for example, in his fight with Uraraka, he really didn't hold any bars. He kind of went all out. And so this might not be entirely true, but I feel like it's worth mentioning and worth implementing, just because I feel like it would make a nice difference, to have Bakugo not be a complete and utter asshole for once. So another change is a pretty big one, actually. Deku isn't going to be called Izuku, and probably not going to be called Deku either. And so we're actually going to need to come up with a new name. And so I'm actually going to call her Hana, because it's nice and short, and I don't know about you guys, but I actually think it fits Deku fairly well. But if Deku was a girl, if he was a guy as well, he's kind of a bit of a wimp sometimes, but what can you say? He's a bit of a flower, a bit of a daisy, you get me? So, let's actually begin with the story. So let's begin with Hana just sitting in class, as normal, everything's carrying on pretty much the same as in the regular story. And the teacher, he asks the whole class if anybody is planning to apply to UA. And just like in the original story, both Bakugo and Hana raise their hands. Deku, or Hana in this case, is laughed at for trying because she's quirkless. Just like in the anime, you really can't become a hero without a quirk. That was the rhetoric that was kind of drilled into everyone. And Hana looks slightly disheartened by this, but because of her slightly improved social skills, she can actually speak up a bit more. And she actually stands up for a second and says, just because I'm a girl, it doesn't mean that I can't be a great hero, like All Might. What about that new hero, Mount Lady? Bakugo simply gives her a look and says, look, Mount Lady has a quirk and you don't, so how about you buzz off my case, loser girl? This causes Hana to start to cry a bit, and this crying a bit turns into crying a decent amount. Because of this, everybody gives Bakugo a bit of a death stare for making the girl cry, but Bakugo just shrugs his shoulders and turns back to his seat, not caring. After school, Hana decides to hurry home, avoiding running into Bakugo, and decides to take a shortcut from the way that she usually goes. She's walking through a dark alleyway, and Hana starts to hear a faint squelching noise. She pulls herself together, just thinking it's probably just, some sewage or something inside one of the pipes, and walks a little bit faster. Because, he's a little bit afraid. Now, before she can react, the sludge villain actually shoots in front of her and pulls a big, malicious grin on his face and says, oh, you a little cutie. Your body will do me nicely for a while. Hana screams at the top of her lungs for a brief second before the sludge monster enters her mouth and wraps himself around it to take over her body, just like in the regular anime. Just as Hana is on the verge of passing out, she sees All Might skid around the corner and scream, I am here, muffling as she's passing in and out of consciousness. All Might smashes the sludge villain entirely, knocking it out and actually knocking Hana completely out as well. Now, All Might is a little bit more gentle this time, but it still leads to the same flustered reaction, but with some blushing as well, and an even more startled, dumbfounded look when she realizes she's actually in All Might's arms and being carried towards the wall to be put to rest. Hana practically jumps out of his hands and thanks All Might a million times before asking for his autograph after he bottles the sludge monster up. The same incident occurs as All Might attempts to jump away with the same response and the same consequences, with Hana being told that no, she can't be a hero without a quirk, it's not possible. This time, Hana's a little bit less disheartened, however, and even after the incident happens, she's not, completely thinking, oh my god, it's my fault, and she's not entirely depressed. She's still upset, and she's still gonna, not exactly be herself, and, but she doesn't have that moment where she's kind of like, oh, it's not worth me going. I'm just gonna go home and give it up. She's still determined to be a hero, but she's got a bit more guts in this timeline. She's got a bit more social skills, and she's had more time to actually improve her confidence. Since, people don't entirely hate her for not having a quirk. So, upon arriving at the scene, Hana will jump in to rescue Bakugo after seeing him, even after Bakugo, made her cry in class and told her that she was a loser. Hana's still got the essence of Deku, and Deku has the essence of a hero, moving without thinking, acting despite the consequences, and, despite the fact that the odds of her actually succeeding are so low, it's unbelievable. So, Bakugo just looks straight at Deku, straight at Hana as she's running towards him at full pelt, confused, dumbfounded, and to be honest, a little bit guilty and confused. Why is the quirkless loser girl jumping in to rescue him? Why can't he rescue himself? Even after he made her cry, she's still going to put her life on the line? This is stupid. What is she doing? So, just like in the anime, Hana's running at full pelt, not knowing why she's going. She knows that she's got to save him though, and that's all that she's thinking about this time. She's forgotten about All Might. She's forgotten about making herself cry from, being told that she's not allowed to be a hero. She's forgot that Bakugo has been bullying her, and she's entirely just focused on saving the person in front of her, no matter who it is, and no matter why, when, or how. That's just the kind of person that Deku is, and that's the kind of person that Hana is in this story. And that's not going to change just because of the gender of the hero. The hero in this story is still the hero, and it's called My Hero Academia for a reason, because Deku is the epitome of a hero in the series, as, acknowledged by All Might, as acknowledged by Stain, and now acknowledged by herself a little bit as she's running towards Bakugo, and she doesn't know why, but she knows she has to, and she knows this is what a hero would do. And so Hana throws her bag at the sludge monster, and it hits the eye of the sludge monster, looking kind of confused, but then looking in pain, with its eyes closed and screaming a little bit because she's just been hit in the eye by the corner of this bag, moving at a relatively fast speed. It's gonna hurt. And she runs towards Bakugo and starts desperately pulling at the sludge covering him, tears rolling out of her eyes, just murmuring, "It's all my fault, it's all my fault," over and over again. Bakugo's eyes widen even further, and Hana looks shocked for a minute. What's going on? And she also turns around to hear a shout of "I am here," as All Might, in severe pain from overusing One For All but hiding it really well, smashes away the sludge villain, causing the actual weather to change because of the force of his punch, rescuing both Hana and Bakugo from certain death. Now, the aftermath of this happens just the same as in the anime. Just like in the anime, Deku gets a bit of a telling off. Hana, in this one, gets a little bit less of a telling off since they don't really want to, traumatize her anymore. They don't want to make her cry. They don't want to, she's a girl, she's sensitive, so on and so forth. That's the kind of stereotype that's there. So they're going to kind of take that into account when telling her off. So they're not going to tell her off as much, but they're still going to tell her, that's risky. You shouldn't do that, girl. You don't have a quirk. This is really dangerous. You shouldn't have come in there. Although, we're proud of you for actually acting. So at the same time, just like in the anime, they're praising Bakugo. They're actually praising him a bit more because, they notice that he's a bit pissed off for actually for being saved by this quirkless classmate, especially the classmate that's, a girl. That's probably really off-putting for Bakugo. I mean, I don't know, we haven't really had any sort of hints that Bakugo might be sexist, but, given his general attitude and personality, I assume being saved by a quirkless girl, it's not really his cup of tea. So, he's probably going to get a little bit more of a kind of an applause for his efforts at trying to resist Sludge Villain by the heroes. As they can probably tell that he's a little bit more annoyed. So, after the incident, as Deku, or in this case, Hana, sorry, keep, forgetting that, but as Hana's actually walking home, kind of tired, kind of a little bit worried, and overall a little bit disheartened, she sees All Might turn around the corner, and All Might gives her the same speech, but slightly different actually. He tells her, "I'm sorry, young Hana. I know I told you that you couldn't become a hero without a quirk, but after seeing your actions, I believe that you have the spirit of a hero. And even though you might not be able to become a hero without a quirk, I'm going to offer you the chance to become a hero." Now, Hana's confused by this, but I thought you said I couldn't become a hero without a quirk, All Might. I don't have a quirk. And All Might says, "Well, I'm going to give you my quirk." And he offers her One For All. And honestly, that's where I'm going to leave this one off, because I think that's a fairly nice point to leave this one off, with Hana smiling in the sunset, looking happy at the fact that, you know, she's now been acknowledged by All Might after, you know, risking her life and after saving her classmate and pulling off all this heroism. I can imagine it would be very demotivating to you to then continually be told that you shouldn't do that and that you shouldn't, you know, actually live up to your nature. And so this has really moralized her, and we're going to leave the story on quite a nice kind of happy ending. And so, yeah, that's where we're going to leave this one. If you guys have any suggestions for, you know, anything that should happen in the next part, or any other what ifs, or, you know, about the other what ifs, or, you know, just general feedback, or, you know, if you have anything to say, if you want to start a discussion, do that in the comments, you know, leave a comment below. If you liked the video, leave a like. It's kind of what the button's there for. If you didn't like it, you know, I'd appreciate you leaving a comment saying what you didn't like about it. If you really didn't like it, leave a dislike. That lets me know as well. And, you know, subscribe if you want to see more stuff. You'll get, like, you know, your subscriber notification feed thing if you activate the bell button. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. I can't speak. Video. I'm just that excited about this one. This one's really good. So again, thank you to Mr. Otola28 for actually recommending this one. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.